What's up, guys? This is Eric from GameShampoo.com, back from the holiday break, and we're back into the swing of things, although it doesn't quite feel like it yet. There haven't really been any games coming out. I think Tomb Raider on the PS4 and Xbox One is going to be the first thing to come out this year, like major thing, at least on the 28th of January. But until then, we've still got some news to report. We've still got some game releases coming out on Steam, like some indie stuff and some smaller projects and stuff like that. And the news goes on. There's going to be a lot of announcements coming up as we kind of circle around into summer and spring, and game releases start getting more frequent. So, going to do the usual news thing. There's probably a little less to report on right now than there usually would be, just because like I said, the holiday break has been going on, so we haven't reported a ton of stuff since the end of December. But, you know, the last week or so we've had some stuff go up on the site, so we're getting back into the regular swing of things. Getting some news and some guides and finishing up the Game of the Year stuff and stuff like that. So it's not like it's been dead or anything. Still plenty of stuff to talk about. It's just that in terms of major game releases, not much going on until February. So I'm going to start with, I guess, the last thing that we put up on the site, and then work my way back towards the beginning of the week. I should point out this is the week of January. Well, I guess it's the week ending on January 5th that we're talking about here, so the week of December 30th. And the last piece of news was a Killer Instinct patch, which I am pretty into. So we got a lot of fixes and a lot of little kind of tweaks coming your way for Killer Instinct on the Xbox One. This should be out already. It was out as of Friday. So these are your fixes, and keep in mind this is a pretty long list, so I'm going to try and speed through it a little bit, unless there's like an item that warrants a little more discussion or something like that. So okay, let's start that over again. Full controller support has been added. Players will now have access to play regardless of what USB port they plugged into. That's kind of important. That kind of warrants further discussion, just because, like, how was that not in the game already? Save data fixes. Sign-in changes via Kinect will no longer erase save data. That's also pretty important. So it's good they got that ironed out. Toasts option available. Players will be able to disable toasts from the option menu under display options. Store fixes. Color number 5 properly unlocks. Players who have already accomplished these tasks prior to launch will now be awarded retroactively. Training mode icon unlocked. Note, if you have completed all the tasks required to unlock the costume, the training icon will retroactively be unlocked. In-game updates. Character select option added to the pause screen of local versus. Command list corrected and updated. Game will now pause when the controller for player 2 is removed. That was already a thing with player 1. The game would pause when you remove the controller, so that's adding feature parity for both players. Accessory menu screens updated and patched. Added access to the meld from the pause screen. Replays library will be cleared since executable has been updated to a new version number. That's important to note. Your replays library, again, will be cleared, so watch out for that. And, you know, if you have any replays you really are dying to share, then you should share them right now. Where was I? Jago's equipped accessories now display properly while in dojo mode. Online updates. Viewable leaderboards. Privilege check has been moved into the Xbox Live menu so non-gold members can view the leaderboards. Party invites fixes. General fixes have been implemented to ensure the proper user flow for people wanting to play exhibition matches with friends. Rank up and rank down display. Rank events, rank up and rank down, display notifications to both players prior to the start of the match. Rank match updates. The rank point distribution method has been updated. Please see the chart below for the updated system. So we've got two charts in this article. There's the original rank system and the updated rank system. And if you're really interested in this stuff, you should just come over to GameShampoo.com/magazine and check out the charts for yourself. Look at them in person. I will do my best to explain what's going on here, but it's kind of like it's easier if you just see it yourself. So GameShampoo.com/magazine again, if you're interested in the finer points of the KI patch. But here goes nothing. So with the original rank system, we've got points earned per match, and then we've got the ranks parameter. So like if somebody's like 1 rank higher than you, 2 ranks higher than you, 3 ranks higher than you, or then like same rank, lower rank, lower rank, lower rank, whatever. So if a person is 4 ranks higher than you and you beat them, you'd get 2 points, and if you lose 0 points. If a guy is 3 ranks higher than you and you beat him, you get 1.75 points, and if you lose, you get docked 0.25 points. If he's 2 ranks higher and you win, you get 1.5 points. If you lose, you get half a point subtracted. If he's 1 rank higher than you, you gain 1.25 points, and you lose 0.75 points when you lose. And that brings us to the same rank, which is a 1-to-1 win-loss, win 1, lose 1. If you're 1 rank lower, if he's 1 rank lower than you, rather, it starts to kind of mirror the other progression where if you win, you get 3/4 of a point. If you lose 1.25 points, and then, half a point, 1/4 of a point, 0 points, up to 1.5 points, 1 3/4 points, and 2 points for losing. So that was the old system. The new system has tweaked and actually lessened those numbers a little bit, and they've also kind of added room for people to be even higher than you or even lower than you or whatever. So, new system, 6 ranks higher or more, and you win, you get 1 3/4 points. If you lose, you only lose 1/4 of a point, so 0.25. If they're 4 to 5 ranks higher than you, and you win, you get 1.5 points. If you lose half a point. If the person you're playing against is 2 to 3 ranks higher than you, then you win 1.25 points for winning, or you lose 3/4 of a point for losing. If you are the same or within 1 or -1 rank of the other person you're playing, you will win 1 point for winning, and you will lose 1 point for losing. If your opponent is 2 to 3 ranks lower, you will win 3/4 of a point for winning, and you will lose 1.25 points for losing. If they are 4 to 5 ranks lower than you, you will win half a point for winning, and you will lose 1.5 points for losing. If they are 6+ ranks lower than you, and you win, this is where like the big change comes into play, in my opinion. Then you will still win points. It's no longer you get nothing. If they are 6 ranks or more lower than you, and you win, you get 1/4 of a point still. And if you lose 1 3/4 points, so 1.75 points. So that is the new ranking system in Killer Instinct. Gameplay updates. Yeah, the list keeps going. But we're almost done. Gameplay updates. Global fixes include Instinct Mode Shadow combos are now breakable. There were several instances where Shadow moves were unbreakable after performing an Instinct Mode cancel. With the current fix, Shadow moves will be fully intractable after an Instinct Mode cancel. There we go. Unblockable fix. Players can now adjust block height during Instinct Mode activation. Combo Ender fix. There were several instances where certain moves labeled as Enders were unbreakable. Character-specific fixes. Now we're getting into the minutia, and we're getting in towards the end. Jago's Endukin is now classified as an opener when used in the beginning of combos. Saberwolf. Shadow Eclipse now scales properly if used as an opener. Level 3 Eclipse Ender has been corrected to hit the opponent after performing a jump slash. Orchid. Category correction for the first 2 hits of Ichi-Ni-san, and damage scaling correction on Uppercut Firecat. Glacius. Shadow Hail will now have the same hit properties as an opener. And finally, Sadira. HP/Shadow version of Widow's Bite is now categorized as opener. And finally, the biggest part of this patch that most immediately impacts you, Saberwolf is now free for all players, even players who have not paid anything. So that's really exciting. Killer Instinct is an awesome fighting game, and it's one of our favorite games of 2013. And it's free. So that gives you even more reason to check it out now if you haven't checked it out yet. Saberwolf is free and Jago is free as well. And so that's like a third of the cast right now. So that's good news for Killer Instinct players. Bad news for World of Warcraft players. A dangerous Trojan is being used to hack WoW accounts, according to Blizzard. We've got a tiny quote from Blizzard. We are currently looking for more information on the Trojan. We have not yet been able to locate any antivirus programs that will remove it besides just reformatting your system, so that's pretty bad. The Trojan works in real time to kind of stealth steal player account information, and it steals the authenticator password once you enter that into the system as well. So all your account information will be compromised if you get this thing on your computer. Be careful. Obviously, as usual, don't open emails from Blizzard that are in your spam folder. Don't accept password requests from people who seem sketchy, that kind of stuff. And you should hopefully be fine. It's not entirely clear how they're spreading it, but it seems like they suspect mostly people sending emails posing as Blizzard. So watch out for that if you play WoW still, or if you have a Blizzard account or WoW account or whatever. I did mention strategy guides earlier. We have 2 guides up on the site right now, and I'm not going to go over the contents of those because they're kind of long. And if that's the kind of stuff you're interested in, you can just look at the guide. But we have a guide for Call of Duty Ghosts and a guide for Battlefield 4 as well. And both of them focus on loadouts and kind of the preferred loadouts that we've been using and seeing some really good results with. So we've got the best Call of Duty Ghosts loadouts, and those are split up by mode. So if you want a loadout that's good for Team Deathmatch, or if you want a loadout that's better for like Blitz or like Search and Destroy or something like that, we've got those broken down by mode and then further broken down by the playstyle. So if you want to be like stealthy, or if you want to draw a bunch of aggro, if you want to like tank for your team, or if you want to, kind of play a mix between the two and be like aggressive but stay off enemy radar or whatever, we've got a lot of different loadouts in there. I think there's something like 15 different loadouts or something like that. And they're split up by all the major modes. And then we've got a Battlefield 4 loadouts and strategies guide, where this time we break it down by class instead, because there are no classes in Call of Duty. But that seems like the better way to break it down for Battlefield. So we've got Engineer, Recon, Assault, and Support. And then we recommend the best gun, typically, or in some cases 1 or 2 guns. And then the best attachments to complement that gun. And sometimes, depending on if there's a second playstyle available, then we'll give you like a list of 2 different attachments, or 2 different tacticals or secondary gadgets or whatever, and kind of describe how best to achieve certain goals and how best to play that class using that loadout. So if you're playing Engineer, we'll give you like, this is the best way to do anti-vehicle stuff, this is the best way to do like support stuff and kind of support your own vehicles, and then give you a description a little bit more detailed of how to actually implement the loadout and how to kind of use the weapons and the field upgrades or whatever they call those perk things that you can do the best. I totally don't know why I was blanking on the field upgrades thing. I've been playing a ton of Battlefield, but I guess I haven't been playing a ton of it lately, just because there's been some like weird lag issues in it that I think were probably caused by the last patch from what I've heard. But if you're still playing Battlefield, then we've got a list of all the best loadouts and all that kind of stuff. A hacker group took down EA's Origin servers on Thursday, or late Thursday, early Friday. They used a DDoS attack. This is the hacker group DERP. And they tweeted, "Our Lord and Savior Gaben does not like competition," soon after launching the attack. And this attack kind of took down a lot of EA games. Pretty much anything that relied on Origin for multiplayer stuff was temporarily messed up. Kind of seems like they were just doing it for kicks, and then I guess they just don't like Origin. I guess they prefer Steam, the cult of Gaben, and whatever. So that was an issue for EA games, although, EA games have enough issues of their own, so I don't necessarily... I guess that's just another in a long line of problems for EA, let's say. So before that, on Thursday, we finished up the Game of the Year stuff. We had already posted our top 20 games of 2013. We already posted the best platform of the year, best Wii U exclusives, Xbox One exclusives, PS4 exclusives, etc. But the very last article was for 2014, so we posted it early in 2014. These are our top 10 most anticipated games of 2014, and then we kind of go over why those games are so exciting, really. And we got stuff like Bayonetta 2 and Telltale's Game of Thrones game on the list. But you can go ahead and head over to GameShampoo.com/magazine again and check out our top 10 most anticipated games of 2014 if you're interested in knowing the full list. There's some really, really cool looking stuff coming out next year. I was actually just looking at Indie Static's top 100, I believe it was 100. Most anticipated indie games of next year. There's a lot of stuff on there that I had forgotten about or didn't know about when I made the top 10 list, and I don't necessarily know if that would really change the list. Like, we do have some indie stuff like Transistor on there already, but stuff like Owlboy and are games that look really good that I had kind of like forgotten about or whatever as I was doing that list. Like I said, I don't necessarily know that that would really change the list in a lot of ways. I think it's a pretty solid list, but it really just kind of served to drive home that there's a lot of games coming out in 2014, and I know that right now it kind of seems like maybe it's a little sparse going into the next year. Not a lot of next-gen stuff has been announced, or a lot of the stuff is kind of like cross-generational stuff, like The Evil Within, or the new Wolfenstein game is cross-generational. But there's some pretty huge stuff going on in the realm of indie games on PC and Linux and Mac, and even phones in some cases, or Android, iOS devices, and whatever. So, yeah, I think we're going to be good for the next year. Even if not a lot of next-gen stuff gets announced at E3, which it totally will. So those are the top 10 most anticipated games. Valkyria Chronicles got an English translation thanks to some dedicated fans. You can now go online and download that patch into your game, and it'll translate pretty much everything. A separate download is required for certain side missions, but other than that, everything should work fine in English once you download this patch, and it'll work on the Vita if you downloaded the game to your Vita as well, so that's reassuring. A PS4 port of The Last of Us could be coming in the future, according to Naughty Dog. They haven't really talked specifically about what they're doing with their second team. The first team obviously is working on Uncharted 4 on the PS4, assuming that's called Uncharted 4. They didn't officially reveal that yet, but the name in the trailer was Uncharted, but it's the fourth Uncharted console game. So the next project could be a next-gen port of The Last of Us. The game already looks really good, better than most next-gen or last-gen games, really. DLC is coming out called Left Behind. God, I'm stuttering over all my words. So Left Behind is coming out, but that does not take a full team. The rest of the team could easily be working on a PS4 port of the game. I mean, we all know the PS3 version was super successful, sold over 3 million copies in the first month and all that. So it wouldn't be terribly surprising with this kind of emerging trend of trying to milk some current gen games for as much as they can be milked for on next gen, stuff like Rayman Legends and that Tomb Raider game I mentioned earlier. It wouldn't be really surprising to see The Last of Us come to the PS4. It's definitely a game that Sony's obviously really proud of, and Naughty Dog's obviously really proud of, and there are some people who are kind of switching sides, I guess, this generation from Xbox One to PS4, and it would make sense, I think, to try and rope those people in and say, like, hey, here, you haven't been able to play this game yet, but maybe check it out on the PS4. There's a sale going on the eShop for the 3DS and also for the Wii U right now. I think it's just on the 3DS for now. Yeah, the update for last week's eShop was on both the 3DS and the Wii U, but the sale is on Atlas products only, and those are only on the 3DS right now. Atlas has not published anything, as far as I know, on the Wii U. So from now, which at the time of the article writing was January 2nd, through tomorrow, January 6th, so if you want to get in on any of these deals, do it soon. The following titles will be discounted on the 3DS eShop: Shin Megami Tensei 4, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Soul Hackers, Etrian Odyssey 4 Legend of the Titan, Etrian Odyssey Untold The Millennium Girl, and Code of Princess. There's also a Bravely Default demo up on the 3DS eShop right now. Bird Mania Christmas 3D is now on the 3DS for sale. So, you know, gotta get in on that Bird Mania action. That's clearly going to be one of this year's best games. Cubit, the hardcore platformer robot, is out on the eShop. Edge is on the eShop. Mario Tennis is on the 3DS Virtual Console. Dr. Luigi is out on the Wii U right now. Castle Storm is also out on the Wii U. Mega Man X2 is on the Wii U Virtual Console, and Super Punch-Out is also on the Wii U Virtual Console. And I would be a lot more excited about those last two editions if Nintendo hadn't already clearly demonstrated their utter lack of ability to make the Virtual Console relevant or interesting. After all the Wii stuff failed to carry over to the Wii U, like, what point is there really to buying this stuff? You want to build up a library of these games. You don't want to buy them all like 3 times on 3 different platforms. It's kind of ridiculous. So those are both fantastic games, Mega Man X2 and Super Punch-Out. But kind of like, why bother if you don't even know if they're going to carry over to whatever Nintendo does next? It's just frustrating. Analysts predict that the PS4 will outsell the Xbox One by 30% through 2016, and they also have predicted a couple of price cuts coming on next-gen hardware. Let me click into this and see specifically. This is Michael Pachter we're talking about from Wedbush Morgan, and let's see, he predicts that Sony will win, in kind of quotes, the next generation by 30% as of 2016, and the Xbox One and the PS4 will both see price cuts by then. So according to his predictions, the Wii U will drop price by 50% to $150 by the end of 2016. If so, that is a pretty good value, assuming that the Wii U is even still like a relevant thing by then, which maybe it won't be. We'll have to see. The PS4 will get a price cut to $299.99 to match, while the Xbox One will receive a $150 price cut to $349.99. Although the Xbox One is heavily favored to lose the war with Sony, it is still expected to thrive with 29 million units sold worldwide by the end of 2016. Let's see, we put up our Platform of the Year award. That was on the 19th, so this was officially stuff from before the break. Just going to go over this stuff really quickly. We put up the Platform of the Year award. We put up a review for China Rising in Battlefield 4. And the Xbox One was at one point last month back in stock at GameStop. That was before Christmas, so that story is not super relevant right now. And yeah, it's all old news. So I'm gonna skip over that and head to the Steam store, which just finished up its giant winter sale from last year. And let's talk about what's coming up on Steam and what's released on Steam. As I mentioned earlier, there is some indie stuff coming out still on Steam, even though it seems to the casual observer that releases have kind of dried up. That's just AAA stuff. There's actually been a decent amount of stuff that has come out since the end of December. So the first thing that comes since December was a January 3rd release. That's Friday. It's called Continue 98765432110. And this game seems like the most interesting of the games, at least to me, that have released on Steam in January so far. It's got a really weird description, so I actually want to read some of it. You are a dead, failed video game character wandering through the recesses of the random access memory, trying to find peace in the final moments of your existence before being deleted forever. But forget that. The real story is that Continue is an existential metaphor that explores the finite nature of existence and the beauty and tyranny of our desires within it, for fans of cerebral games such as Gone Home, The Novelist, and Papers, Please. What happens to dead video game characters? In the garbage dump of random access memory, you travel from town to town, meeting people who offer you their lightning and their prayers. Lightning clears the way for you to move forward, and prayer builds shelters in a distant town where you must frequently hide to avoid being deleted into nothingness by the garbage collector. Along the way, you are thrust into many battle challenges, the outcome of which affects your shelters. There is ultimately no way to escape the garbage collector, but running from it buys you time to think, wander, contemplate, and hopefully be at peace with the inevitability of your deletion. Each game randomly assigns you one of the 6 characters and 6 of the 11 areas. There is no set order to the stages of the game. And it keeps going. Interpretations. This game is weird. You've probably figured that out by now. Everything in it, however, has a deeper meaning behind it. All of the strange places you go to, people you talk to, and scenarios you go through are part of a greater idea that I hope you spend a second or two trying to figure out and interpret. Or not, you can just play the damn thing. This is the weirdest description of a game on Steam I think I've ever seen, maybe. Development. Continue was inspired by the existential road trips into nowhere, Peruvian jungle drugs, and a brush with death while lost in the mountains of New Mexico. It is a quest for wonder, contemplation, and peace. By Continue 98765432110 was independently developed by Jason Oda in 2013. Past projects of notoriety include The Perfect Strangers game and Skrillex Quest. So Continue 98765432110 is available on Steam right now for a 20% discount at $7.99. Normally it's going to be $9.99. That special promo will end on the 10th of January. I'm actually kind of interested to see what is going on in this game, but I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in any game that claims to be inspired by Peruvian jungle drugs and getting lost in mountains in Mexico. So, I don't know, maybe if it piques my interest enough over the next couple of days and I'm bored enough, which, with Battlefield 4 not working super well and not a ton else coming out, maybe I will be bored enough. And maybe I'll do a review on GameShampoo. We shall see. But let's go into the other 3 games, or is that, yeah, 4 games that have come out since January started. Drift Moon is the next one up. This released, well, Now that I clicked on it, it says it released on February 26th, 2013, which may or may not be accurate. But it's on the new releases thing, and people have been reviewing it recently, so I'm going to say it's new, and that release date is messed up. This is an adventure indie RPG in which it looks like you're going to be doing some dungeon crawling, kind of Diablo style. Let's read the description. The beautiful enchanted world of Driftmoon trembles in the shadow of a forgotten evil, for the Dark King Ixal is again gathering his forces. Hope lies in an unlikely alliance. A young man joins forces with a little firefly dreaming of stardom, a panther queen with the ego of a moon whale, you know those moon whales, and a very determined fellow who's lost everything but his bones and still hasn't given up. Knowing nothing of the amazing adventures and the fearsome foes that await them, the party embarks on a journey like no other. Driftmoon is an adventure role-playing game full of exploration, smiles and surprises, captivating stories and quests, charming characters, and countless delightful details. A fantastic adventure and a deep story that will put a smile on your face and keep surprising you. Plenty of personality, wit, humor, and goodwill. The rich, magical world is filled with captivating personalities and zillions of things waiting to be discovered. Take that, Borderlands. Powerful editor and a one-click mod sharing system come along with it. Again, it's like a super weird description. Like, it's going to put a smile on your face, man. It's super upbeat. And now I'm really curious about that game, too, so I'm going to check out that trailer later, because I actually hadn't heard of that before. The next game is Unearthed Trail of Ibn Battuta, Episode 1 Gold Edition, which is quite a mouthful. That came out on the 3rd as well, and this looks like an adventure game. Kind of getting some, like, janky, ghetto Uncharted vibes here. If you look at it, it kind of looks like a PS2 Uncharted. And apparently there's a first-person driving segment. And a part where you drive around on an ATV. So that's, wow, and it's $4, so it's probably really, really great. This looks a lot like that Uncharted ripoff game on iOS that came out a couple of years ago by not Gamebryo, which is what I keep thinking of, but those guys who do the Asphalt GT games. Okay, Unearthed is an episodic third-person action-adventure game set in modern-day Middle East. The game is available in full Arabic and English voiceover, which is actually kind of impressive. I'm guessing it's an Arabic-made game, and features 21 languages for menu and subtitles. I like how their description of the game includes and brags about the fact that it has 21 languages for menus and subtitles. Like, don't talk about the features, don't talk about, like, the gameplay. It's available in Arabic and English and features 21 languages for menu and subtitles. Pretty impressive. I don't want to brag or anything, but you seen any other game that has that many languages in it? $4. Normally $5. Get it while it's hot. Captain Morgaine and the Golden Turtle are next. This also came out on January 3rd, and this is like a really pretty and kind of distinctive looking, actually, adventure game. I do really think the art in here looks pretty nice, although I'm not necessarily sure if this looks like something I would want to check out. There's no trailer up for it, only 5 screenshots, so that's not necessarily a great sign. But it was a Greenlight game, so people who picked it on Greenlight might be excited to pick it up and see how it turned out. A place where pirates roamed the seas looking for treasure, and where one innocent 8-year-old girl grew up to become the most famous pirate of the Caribbean. From an early age, Morgaine Castillo was a confident and feisty girl playing with her friends and getting into scraps on Bounty Island. Living with her mother and bored Bored of her chores and island life, she longed to go to sea, just like her pirate father Alessandro, but she was too young, and young girls weren't meant to become pirates. But Morgane's early life was beset by tragedy. Uncle Eduardo, her dearest friend, was lost at sea, and her mother, Bonita Castillo, died suddenly when Morgane was only 8 years old. Accompany Morgane in her quest to find the legendary golden turtle and experience the story of a young girl who grows into a pirate captain. Make decisions, but remember, your actions have direct consequences for those depending on you. So that's available on Steam right now for $5.94. That's a 15% discount of the normal $6.99 price. And finally, I do believe there is one more. Gunman Clive. That's right, this game is $2, released on the 3rd, and it's kind of like an old school side-scrolling shooter. In the year 18XX, the West is overrun by thugs and outlaws. A group of bandits have kidnapped Mayor Johnson's daughter and are spreading havoc across the land. Only Gunman Clive can bring order to the West and save the girl. That's not an antiquated concept at all, but I guess it kind of goes with the aesthetic. Jump and shoot your way across 16 diverse and challenging levels and fight massive bosses. Gunman Clive is an old-school side-scrolling platform game set in the Old West with full 3D graphics and a unique art style. I'm trying to check out I'm trying to see how this game is fully 3D because it looks pretty 2D, but it definitely has a distinctive old sepia toned look. So that's what's out on Steam right now. There are things still coming out, and a lot of them were green light games, so people might actually be pretty interested in seeing how this turned out. And then we've got games coming soon. So coming within the next week or so in January are Secrets of Rayticon, I think is how you pronounce that, which is a game from the developers of that bird game on the Wii U, that launch title that launched with the Wii U, where you would, it's like a 2-player game where you would fly around and collect little orbs, and their weird obsession with birds continues, where you get this open world 2D exploration game set in the romantic wilderness of the Alps, and you basically just fly around and explore this open world and collect stuff and do other stuff. It's going to be an early access game when it comes out. Consortium is coming on January 8th. Game 1 of the IDGI-1 trilogy, taking place entirely aboard a massive futuristic aircraft. Consortium is a first-person science fiction RPG experience unlike any other. The story begins in our world, the real world, where we here at Interdimensional Games have developed, and this is actually interesting, so I have to click into this. We have developed a satellite, okay, wow, that was unexpected given that you're a game development company, capable of opening a digital rift through time and space. Anyone with an internet connection can travel through this rift and awaken within an alternate dimension from our own, the game world, in the year 2040. So I guess you play as a character in a game, in this game. It's kind of meta. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is coming out on the 9th. If you don't know what that is, it's a spin-off of Metal Gear Solid in which you play as Raiden. It's developed by Platinum Games, and it's pretty good. Played it on the PS3 earlier this year. And Turbo Dismount is coming on January 10th. Turbo Dismount is a kinetic tragedy about Mr. Dismount and the cars who love him. And it's the official sequel to the wildly popular and immensely successful personal impact simulator Stair Dismount. Okay. We've also got 4 expansions for Europa Universalis 4 coming out. 3 smaller ones which give you new units. I think 16 models apiece for each of those. And the Conquest of Paradise expansion, which is the first expansion to the critically praised empire building game, Europa Universalis 4, focusing on exploration of the New World and the Native American nations. So that's really cool. If you're into kind of empire building games, Europa Universalis 4 is really cool and pretty good. So that expansion should make it even bigger and even better. That's coming on the 14th. And also the Banner Saga is coming out on the 14th. So that was a Kickstarter game back in the day. There's a free-to-play multiplayer version of it out right now. But the single-player version is like a turn-based strategy game, just like the multiplayer Sagas version. But obviously there's a self-contained story, and it's it kind of reminded me of like Advance Wars a little bit in some of the strategy stuff. And it has really beautiful artwork. So that's what's coming up on Steam. And that's pretty much all there is to talk about for now. Like I said, the releases don't tend to get too big until February, although we do have some like Revengeance and that HD remake of Assassin's Creed Liberations coming out sometime in the next week or two. I guess 2 weeks, because that's all the stuff that's coming out this week. So yeah, that's the news, that's the releases. We've got guides up on GameShampoo.com/magazine for Battlefield and Call of Duty. And that's going to do it for this week. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. And yeah, I'll see you when more stuff is going on.